Embark on an epic journey with Vinland Saga Season 2. Get ready to follow the captivating tale of Einar, a fierce Viking warrior determined to seek revenge that transcends time and space. This season promises to bring you even more thrilling battles, stunning landscapes, and an emotional ride that will leave you on the edge of your seat. And don't be surprised if you come across some beloved characters from Season 1, as they re-emerge to add to the drama and excitement. Get ready for an unforgettable adventure with Vinland Saga Season 2. A brief overview. Einar, a young man from the north of England, lived with his mother and younger sister in a quiet farming town. However, one day the farming village is destroyed by a Viking attack, and Einar's life changes completely. Now, once again, the saga of true warriors begins. At the beginning of episode 1, our protagonist Einar is chopping down a tree with his axe when his mother suddenly scolds him, warning him that the falling tree may destroy their house. His sister asks if he's training to be a woodcutter, but Einar informs her that he's preparing for battle. His mother laughs at his aspirations, calling him useless in combat, and beckons him to come and have lunch. As they dine, Einar's mother questions his training, to which he responds that he wants to protect their newly rebuilt village, as they lost their previous one and his father died defending it. Despite the tragedy, Einar is determined to never let it happen again. His mother reminds him that they still have each other and haven't lost everything. Soon, the village is raided. Einar, Lotta, and their mother quickly flee to the safety of the woods. Suddenly, a sharp arrow pierces their mother's back, causing her to stumble. Despite her pleas for them to leave her behind and save themselves, Einar and Lotta refuse to abandon her. As the menacing men close in, their mother utters her final words: "Take Lotta and run. Live." Heartbroken, Einar and Lotta watch helplessly as their mother takes her last breath. As the men approach, Einar and Lotta stand frozen, still in shock from the loss of their mother. Suddenly, the men grab Lotta, and Einar tries to intervene, but he is swiftly knocked back. Determined to protect her brother, Lotta takes out her hairpin and fearlessly stabs one of the men in the back. However, this only angers the man, who in a fit of rage kills Lotta. The other men, irritated that a good-looking girl has been killed, decide to take Einar instead and sell him for beer. Einar struggles against his captors, his anger boiling inside, but he is unable to escape their grasp. Sometime later, Einar finds himself on a boat surrounded by other slaves, one of whom is coughing uncontrollably. Suddenly, the men realize that the female slave is beyond saving, and without a second thought, they toss her overboard. Enraged, Einar demands to know why they would do such a thing. But before he can get an answer, one of the men strikes him and checks his throat to ensure he's not sick too. He warns the others to stay warm and avoid getting sick. When they finally reach land, the slavers feed and bathe the slaves to make them look healthy for the upcoming sale. As they line up, Einar sees an opportunity to escape. He takes advantage of the men's distraction and runs. With his hunger getting the better of him, Einar steals food from a nearby house, but as he tries to flee, one of the slavers catches up with him. He beats Einar severely and drags him back to the other slaves. The slaver uses Einar as an example to remind the other slaves that even if they try to run, no one will help them as they are far from home and have no money. The only way to survive is to find a good master who will take care of them. As Einar stands in line, waiting to be sold as a slave, he resigns himself to his fate. He knows that even if he were to escape, he has nowhere left to go. Suddenly, the slavers bring in a man named Leif, who is searching for someone. Leif loudly protests that Einar doesn't match the description he was given and demands to see the real person he's looking for. Despite Leif's insistence, the slavers continue to try and sell Einar, but Leif reveals that he's not looking to buy a worker. He's looking to free his relative, Thorfinn. The slavers are unfamiliar with Thorfinn, so Leif apologizes to Einar and leaves. Einar can't help but envy Thorfinn for having someone who cares enough to come looking for him. A man named Ketil arrives. He inspects Einar and asks him about his past. Einat tells him that he used to be a farmer in northern England. Impressed with Einat's background, Catil asks if he would be willing to help him with his own farm. Without hesitation, Catil purchases Einat and brings him to his farm, offering him a new chance at life. As they walk through the sprawling farm, Catil proudly shows Einat around and explains that they will be meeting the rest of the crew at dinner tonight. Einat can see the workers bustling about, tending to the animals and fields. Suddenly, Einat is struck with a feeling of familiarity. The lush green fields and bustling barnyard remind him of his own land and family. He knows that he will never be free again and wonders if his mother was right when she told him that he still had everything to lose. But as Catil leads him to meet Thorfinn, who is cutting wood with precision and ease, Einat starts to believe that serving a good master might just be the key to survival. If he can prove himself to be obedient and hardworking, he might just be able to avoid starvation. With each step, Einat becomes more and more hopeful. Maybe this new life will bring him the comfort and security that he so desperately craves. Thus, that is how Einat and Thorfinn met. Wow! Before we go on to episode 2 of season 2 of Vinland Saga, take a quick moment to answer the question of the day. What is the best time period for an anime to be in? Let us know what you think in the comments section below. Every video will pick one comment for a shout out. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video for more content and a chance to be chosen. Now, onto the video. Starting off episode 2 of the second season, Catil introduces our main character Einat to Thorfinn. He explains that starting today, they will be working together and forming a close friendship. He proceeds to detail their new job, pointing towards the forest and asking Einat what he sees. Initially, Einat guesses that it's a forest, but Catil corrects him, stating that it will soon become a thriving wheat farm. With a proud smile, Catil informs Einat and Thorfinn that he owns the forest and will allow them to borrow it. Their task is clear: to clear the land, cultivate it, and reap the harvest. Afterward, Catil promises to buy their hard work for a fair price, with the ultimate goal of exceeding their own price as slaves. Einat is ecstatic to hear this, realizing that they have a chance to earn their freedom. Catil confirms this, saying that with hard work, they could be free in just 3 years. Einat eagerly accepts this opportunity, and Catil introduces Patr, who will be their mentor and go-to person for any questions or problems they may face. Before leaving, Catil advises Einat to take the day off and observe Thorfinn's work. He emphasizes that this is an opportunity for Einat to get a feel for the work ahead and to ask any questions that may arise. Thorfinn strides back into the forest and Einat trails closely behind him, pondering the nature of Catil and if his words are a common practice in Denmark. In Einat's homeland, he explains, slaves are enslaved for life. Einat confesses that he is from northern England and turns his attention to Thorfinn, curious about his background. Thorfinn hesitates briefly before revealing that he hails from Iceland, but Einat's confusion is evident as he is unfamiliar with the location. As they continue through the forest, Einat takes notes of the numerous trees that have been chopped down and is impressed by the number that Thorfinn has already felled. He wonders how many trees are left to cut. Thorfinn points to the river, explaining that all the trees on the other side must be cleared. Einat realizes then that there are still a substantial number of trees left to chop. As Thorfinn grips his axe, he begins to chop down trees once again. Einat, eager to earn his freedom, decides to join in on the work. But as he takes his first strike, his axe becomes stuck in the tree trunk. Thorfinn reminds him that he was told to rest, but Einat insists on working harder. Thorfinn suggests they start cutting trees further away from each other to make sure the trees fall perpendicular to the river. Einat quickly realizes that by doing so, they can easily float the logs down the river. As they continue to work, Einat feels his stomach growling and wonders when lunch will arrive. Thorfinn explains that farmhands will bring them lunch when the time comes. Just then, Einat hears voices and assumes the food must be on its way. With anticipation, he eagerly awaits their much-needed break. As Einat approaches the group of men, they hand him a bag filled with food, but to his surprise, the amount is meager, causing Einat to feel disappointed. The men, noticing Einat's reaction, explain that as a slave, he should be grateful for any food he receives. They mention that they are free men who bring him lunch and expect Einar to show gratitude. Einar's anger rises, but before he can lash out, Thorfinn arrives, takes the food, and expresses his thanks to the men. The men advise Thorfinn to teach Einar some manners and to be careful not to harm the horse. With that, the 4 men retire under a nearby tree to rest. Thorfinn ties the horse to the tree and explains to Einar that they will be pulling the tree while Einar pushes from behind. When Einar suggests cutting down the tree, Thorfinn informs him that the tree belongs to their master and they cannot make any alterations without permission. Einar realizes that this is the job of the 4 men, but Thorfinn tells him to let it go and focus on their task. Together, Thorfinn, Einar, and the horse begin pulling the tree toward the river. As the evening sets in, Einar feels a pang of hunger and exhaustion mixed with anger toward the farmhands. He speculates that these farmhands must not have any land of their own and are merely serving their master. Thorfinn confirms Einar's assumption, leading Einar to conclude that the farmhands are essentially half-slaves who bully others to feel superior. Einar ponders whether Thorfinn agrees with his viewpoint, but Thorfinn is indifferent. He expresses a desire to report their behavior to Ketil, but Thorfinn warns him not to, for fear that they'll only harass them even more. Just then, Ketil shows up, eager to hear how their first day went. Einar declares that he has had a report to make, but then he lays eyes on a beautiful woman and is completely mesmerized. He forgets all about his report and becomes tongue-tied. As Einar remains silent, Ketil assumes that there's nothing to report and continues on his way. Today, Ketil and his farmhands are in the midst of harvesting wheat. As the kids arrive with fresh water, Ketil drinks deeply before instructing the group to finish this batch by noon. Einar is shocked to see the wealthy Ketil working alongside the others, and his surprise only grows as he witnesses a young man struggling with the harvest. The young man, Olmar, is clearly frustrated at having to be on the field, and Ketil tries to help, but Olmar snaps that he's already doing what he was told. Undeterred, Ketil explains that the technique of harvesting goes beyond just cutting the wheat, but also leaving stumps for grazing livestock. However, Olmar becomes more and more annoyed as Ketil continues to instruct. Einar looks on, wondering who the young man is until Thorfinn informs him that Almar is actually Ketil's son. Uninterested in the dull farm work, Olmar reaches for his sword but realizes it's too long to pull from the sheath. He stomps off, determined to make a name for himself with his sword one day. Later that night, as Olmar practices his swordplay, he announces that he will soon be traveling to England to join Prince Canute's army. Suddenly, a moth flutters past him and he tries to strike it with his sword, but misses. In bed with a woman, she asks when he'll be leaving, but Olmar doesn't know and explains that King Harold will soon be calling for reinforcements. The woman expresses her concern and suggests that he should take over the farm instead. As they talk, the woman's father and mother listen from outside, hoping that Olmar will continue sleeping with their daughter for their future security. However, when Olmar emerges from the room, he is visibly angry. The two parents wonder if their daughter has done something wrong, but Olmar furiously yells at them, accusing them of only wanting to become part of Ketil's family and live in luxury. With a bitter expression, Olmar storms off, declaring that all women are rotten. Olmar rides along with frustration boiling inside him. As he approaches two drunk farmhands, he overhears them warning him of the dangers of riding at night. Curiosity strikes Olmar, and he wonders what the two men are doing out here. The farmhands explain that they had gone to visit a woman, but unfortunately, other retainers had arrived before them, and they didn't want to cause a scene or get into trouble. They see that Olmar is clearly agitated and suggest he join them in continuing their drinking and chatting. In a moment of impulsiveness, Olmar agrees and joins the two men as they venture deeper into the night. As Einar tosses and turns in bed, he mumbles to himself that Olmar should take over the farm. He realizes that Olmar doesn't understand the horrors of war and has a misguided view of warriors. Anyone who goes to war is a beast, Einar whispers. Thorfinn gently tells Einar to go to sleep, reminding him that they have an early start in the morning. But Einar can't shake the memories of the soldiers who ravaged his village. Einar explains that the King of England's soldiers came to his village twice. The first time, they burned down every house. His father fought bravely, but ultimately lost his life. The second time, the Danes arrived claiming they were saving the village from the king's tyranny, but they proceeded to pillage everything they could find. Einar looks upon these soldiers as beasts disguised as humans. Turning to Thorfinn, Einar asks if he is asleep, but there's no response. Thorfinn is lost in his own thoughts, reliving the traumatic scenes from his own past. The next day, Fox and Badger lead the way, bringing along Olmar. But soon, Olmar's drunken state takes over and he starts complaining, feeling like no one is listening to him. Olmar accuses Fox and Badger of secretly laughing at him. However, Fox and Badger note that Olmar is not a fun drunk and regret bringing him with them. Suddenly, Olmar overhears their conversation and questions their pride as warriors, serving his father for such a small payment. Fox calmly explains that they have their usefulness in battles, but Olmar counters that he has never seen them do any work. In response, Fox and Badger flip the table, pushing Olmar to the ground, and easily take his sword. Olmar throws a tantrum, wanting to be killed since he feels like a nobody. However, Fox realizes that Olmar just wants to be treated as an adult. He tells Olmar that becoming a real man is not difficult, and the first step is to complete a rite of passage by killing someone. Fox explains that after killing someone, Olmar will feel confident and understand the fragility of human life. Olmar wonders who he should kill, and Fox reveals that he knows the perfect target, who is even on this farm. As Einar wakes up and goes to relieve himself, he hears Thorfinn scream and rushes to his side. Thorfinn is disoriented but doesn't remember what caused his outburst. Together, they head to the well to wash their faces. Already there is a woman, Arnhid, who politely allows them to wash after she has finished. Einar mentions that washing his face won't change anything, but Arnhid disagrees, complimenting his face and embarrassing Einar. She introduces herself and realizes that Einar has recently joined the group. Einar confirms and explains that he is from England and comes from a village with Nordic descendants who speak both English and Norse. Einar apologizes for his thick accent, but Arnhid surprises him by apologizing for not informing him of her status. She reveals she is a slave and personal attendant to Ketil, not his daughter as Einar had assumed. Fox and Badger arrive, and Fox jokingly asks if they are all gathering to plan their escape, while Badger wonders if Einar is also a slave, as he doesn't seem to recognize him. Einar quickly explains that he joined the group this summer, and Fox invites Thorfinn and Einar to follow him. As they walk, Einar curiously ponders the identity of the two men, who both carry swords. Thorfinn informs him that they are guests, and acts as the farm's defensive force, essentially serving as bodyguards. Einar warily surmises that whatever Fox and Badger want, it probably won't be good. But then, he thinks back to Arnhid, complimenting him, and he can't help but giggle. Fox notices Einar's sudden change in mood, and comments that he seems lively and in good spirits. Fox and other men approach Olmar and hand him a sword. Fox instructs Olmar to make a clean cut. Einar is bewildered by the situation, and Fox clarifies that they are making their young master a man and want Einar to die for him. Einar becomes furious, questioning what they have done to deserve such a fate. However, Fox explains that their lives belong to their owner, who can do as he pleases. Olmar states that Einar and Thorfinn belong to his father, not him, and if he kills them, he must pay him back. Fox is disappointed that Olmar is making excuses and wonders if he fears his father. Olmar denies it, prompting Fox to tell him to kill them. Einar urges Thorfinn to run and charges towards Olmar. As he battles with Olmar, he once again tells Thorfinn to flee and inform Ketil. Thorfinn remains still as two other men point their swords at him and warn him to stay put and watch. Thorfinn sighs, acknowledging that they only need to kill one and should leave Einar to return to work. As Thorfinn declares his statement, the men are taken aback, and Fox questions him about his identity once more. He inquires if Thorfinn comprehends the meaning of being cut, to which Thorfinn affirms that he knows he will die. Einar attempts to intervene, but Badger silences him. Fox acknowledges that he cannot ignore Thorfinn's bold declaration as it undermines the worth of their product. He wonders if Thorfinn realizes what they sell, to which Thorfinn replies that he does not. Fox reveals that what they sell is death, emphasizing that everyone fears death, pointing out even Olmar's fear of others dying. Drawing his sword, Fox makes a small incision on Thorfinn's chest, declaring that Thorfinn should be afraid. As Fox continues to make more cuts, he demands Thorfinn to beg for his life. At that moment, Snake returns and observes Thorfinn's fearless reaction to Fox's cuts, reminding himself that Thorfinn is merely Ketil's slave. Thorfinn questions why they should fear death, asking if they live because they fear dying. He ponders if there is any goodness to life, and states that nothing good has ever happened to him. Fox becomes frustrated and cuts off a portion of Thorfinn's left ear, threatening to take his eye next. Snake interrupts, shouting for him to stop. The mere sound of Snake's voice makes Fox freeze in fear, as he wonders when Snake had returned. Snake orders Fox to come to him, and delivers a punch to Fox's face. He then turns to Badger, demanding an explanation for the situation. Are you ready for the next thrilling episode of Vinland Saga Season 2? The tension is building as Thorfinn takes a stand against Fox, but will his bravery lead to punishment, or will Snake rise to defend his honor? Join us for episode 4, where we will uncover the answers to these burning questions and experience the heart-pumping action of Vinland Saga like never before. Get ready for an unforgettable ride.